Thanks for joining me today. Today, we're going to actually be diving into the 10 essential bookkeeping habits that help inventory-based businesses, especially outdoor gear brands, go from chaos to clarity. So whether you're drowning in receipts or just wondering why you're working so hard but not seeing the cash, this one's going to really help you. This one's for you. So let's start with this. For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. That comes from 1 Corinthians. And a peaceful business starts with clear books. And clear books, well, they come from simple habits done consistently. So let me tell you about a client who doubled profit under a year just by applying these principles. We'll get that example later, but let's dive in. I'm Jacob Curtis. I'm a CPA, certified first professional and financial guide. My mission is simple, and that's to help business owners like you finally get paid, master your cash flow, and run a business that gives you the freedom you're looking for. I started Curtis Accounting Solutions because most business owners don't need more spreadsheets. They really just need a plan that actually works, even with inventory, seasonal sales, and some cash flow chaos, right? Now, if that's you, you're in the right place. So drop a comment, hit the like button, share the video, and let's follow along. Mixing personal and business transactions is the number one cause for messy books. So you want to open a dedicated checking account for your business. You want to separate your personal from your business expenses. If you haven't done that, you need to do that. And you need to make sure you continue to keep those separated as your business grows and get bigger and bigger and bigger. For those transactions that you accidentally put through as personal expenses through the business, you need to tag those as owner's draws. They're not actually expenses. And vice versa, any business expenses that you may have that you paid for personally, you want to make sure you get those into the books and offset that again, either with some kind of option. Your tax preparer will know what's best there to get those into the books. One client that we helped with this, they found that they had $7,200 in personal meals that they mistakenly were deducting and were at a high audit risk and just waiting for that to happen. So we were able to get that fixed and amended and corrected for them. Now, QuickBooks Online gives you a real-time clarity only if you keep up with it. This is the important piece, right? A weekly habit of coding and categorizing your transactions helps prevent some of that confusion later on down the road. Think of this as like just the trail maintenance, right? It's easier to clear a little bit of brush every single week than wait till it's completely overgrown and do it. Same with like mowing your lawn or any kind of activity. The more frequently you do it, the easier it is to do. So we want to use those bank feeds and the features of QuickBooks to actually make categorizing easy. So set up bank rules, automate those rules. QuickBooks is just starting to roll out their new AI-powered kind of bookkeeping process. So that will be interesting to see how that can help you do that. But to set up a rhythm to do it for 30 minutes every week, whether that's on a Friday or a Tuesday, just set up a rhythm to get that done. Now, reconciliation is another great habit to get into. It's where you ensure that your QuickBooks records match what your bank and credit cards say line by line. It's like checking to make sure that you're in the backcountry, make sure you have everything you need before you actually get out there. Because one missed little item could leave you totally exposed and not deducting enough or double deducting or things like that. So always want to make sure that you are reconciling your bank's credit cards and loans if possible. In one case, we found that our client had duplicated their strike payouts, thus distorting their profits by over $12,000, meaning they had duplicated their deposits coming in and recording the sales basically twice. And they were really confused because they thought they had really great sales, and it turns out they had twice as much sales, half as many sales as they actually thought. So for inventory-based businesses, inventory is your cash, right? It's just cash in a different form because you got to exchange your cash to buy the inventory so you can get more cash. And so using an inventory management system to its fullest is going to make your life so much easier. So you want to make sure you're tracking costs and quantities and things like that to help you manage that inventory. We had a client showing they had a 20K profit until we actually factored in inventory that they hadn't expensed yet. And it totally flipped that break-even percentage. Basically, it made their break-even go much, much higher than they actually thought it was. That really helped them change and shape the way they wanted to get out and plan for the future. The next thing is chasing receipts. No more like thinking that this was just for the income and tax businesses and chasing those receipts. We want to actually use QuickBooks to capture your receipts. And if you're not using QuickBooks, any kind of photo capture system, whether it's just a phone and saving it on in your box or Google or Dropbox or whatever it is, you want to save those receipts. You could set up some automations these days with AI to actually auto forward, auto save receipts. So that would be really, really awesome. You can also set up some great just storage opportunities. The reasons you need to save these are in case you never get audited by the IRS or have a financial audit you need to get through. Both are really important things to have the receipts and the backup and the support for those expenses. Now, consistency is king. You want to pick a time each week, whether that's Friday or Tuesday or whenever it is. You want to make sure that you're blocking time off on your calendar for your bookkeeping to keep part of that rhythm, part of your weekly cycle in the business. It's just like tending a fire. It only takes a few sticks to regularly keep it burning, right? You throw on a couple every few minutes to keep it going. Bookkeeping's the same way. You've got to be able to keep up with those on a basis. And weekly is the best one. A weekly money meeting reduces that overwhelm and improves your overall stewardship. It helps you see and forecast things before it becomes a huge disaster. Now, QuickBooks Online, that's one of the things we recommend, but there's Xero also has this capability. We recommend using classes to track different kinds of expenses and where things came from, especially when it comes to revenue. You want to know which channels are doing the best. Is it your own website? Is it through Amazon? Is it through Etsy? Is it through other channels or events that you're actually selling things? You want to know which channel, which methodology of selling your things is working the best. It's kind of like a GPS instead of using a compass, right? A compass gets you pointed in the right direction. You know where you're going, but GPS really tells you exactly where you're at. And that's one thing that we recommend. So one of our clients used their class tracking to discover that their flagship product and what they thought was their best channel was actually barely profitable after all the fees. And so they quickly shifted their strategy to improve their profits to focus on what was actually working, but they didn't know that at the time. They didn't know which channel was working or not working without doing some analysis and actually using classes to see that clearly in P&L. Now, subscriptions like Shopify, Gusto, Adobe really shouldn't need a manual entry. You want to make sure you're auto-posting those and creating rules so when those transactions are charged on your cards, in your banks, QuickBooks will automatically set up and categorize those transactions for you so you're not wasting time on the recurring repetitive transactions. And that's really going to save you a lot of time. Ideally, what you'll do is most of your transactions will be categorized for you every time they come through. So all you have to do when you get in there is just categorize the ones that are new that QuickBooks doesn't know what to do with. And so just review them every quarter and look over those subscriptions every single quarter. In fact, every quarter, I would recommend doing an expense analysis and reviewing what you've done over your expenses to see if there's any tools or things that you don't use anymore. One client discovered that they were spending $400 on tools and subscriptions that they didn't even use anymore, thus saving themselves $400 after they canceled. So that's one thing that you can do. Even though you're going to use this to auto-post on a quarterly basis, you definitely want to do a full review of your expenses over the last quarter just to confirm that you're still using things efficiently. Now, you don't need to be a CPA to actually read a profit and loss or a balance sheet. A little bit of education and knowledge will go a long way, just like looking at revenue, gross profit, and net income. Are they trending up and down? What's happening with the numbers month over month? And so looking at your numbers of profit and loss, a balance sheet, a cash flow statement, looking at those by month to track if they're going up or down, your individual expense lines or balances on the balance sheet are really going to help you to follow along with the trends of the business. In fact, one of our businesses noticed that their payroll kept creeping up every single quarter and made a strategic decision that actually really paid off. They hired somebody to help them fix what was happening with their payroll. And it wasn't a clerical thing, it was actually internally where they just needed to switch out some employees. So they let go of some underperforming employees and hired some better performing employees to make sure that that payroll to sales ratio worked better for them. Now, bookkeeping tracks where the money went, but Profit First actually tells it where to go. It's a little more proactive. Bookkeeping and accounting tell you what happens, but Profit First and forecasting and planning tell you where to put cash. Specifically, Profit First tells your cash where to go. And Profit First is that cash management system that uses separate bank accounts to help you manage the cash flow of business because cash is king in the business. So we really want to do that. Again, you're going to set up some accounts. You're going to set up income, profit, owner pay, inventory, tax, and operating accounts to help you manage the cash flow and these major spending categories for your business. And then every couple of weeks, you're going to allocate some of that money from that's accumulated in the income account to those other accounts to help you manage, make sure you're not overbuying or undersaving in these important categories. And basically, that's your budget. It's pretty straightforward. You can create more detailed budgets, but this is a great start if you're just getting started or you're not knowing where to start. Set a Profit First system to help you get your budget started with cash. One business that we worked with, they started with just 1% to profit and now takes every quarter a $5,000 quarterly bonus distribution to themselves that they never thought was possible before. So it's pretty sweet. So if you have any questions and need assistance with managing your company's money and accounting and bookkeeping and taxes, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's why we're here to help you set up some systems to avoid the inventory chaos and turn that into some predictable profit, and to experience some real financial freedom. So schedule a call by scanning QR code or going to the website on the screen. I'll be more than happy to help you. And don't forget to follow me, Jacob Curtis CPA and Curtis Accounting Solutions on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and YouTube. And thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next.